We always talk about our tagline, significance beyond success.
Right.
I think that is different for every single person, because every single person's definition of success is different.
Hello, Apriem family, and welcome to episode 9 of Apriem Financial Cents. Now, while this is technically the 9th episode of our Apriem Financial Cents series, this is actually the first time that we are replacing our traditional monthly live webinar with this pre-recorded format. We're looking to do this kind of moving forward. We think that we can bring you better quality content this way. Sound quality is good, video quality is good. We don't have to worry about, internet cutting out and or anything along those lines. And so on top of that, we're also considering starting a podcast. And so what we've done is about halfway through this particular recording, we switched to an all audio only format, just trying things out. So let us know what you think. Personally, I really enjoy the audio only format. If I'm at home and I'm washing dishes or I'm folding laundry, I can just put my headphones in and I can just listen, and I can pause it and come back later. So anyway, that's not for me to decide though. That's for you to decide. So you tell us what you think. And if you enjoy the audio only version, we can move towards that version only, or if you enjoy having the video, we can keep that going as well. So let us know your thoughts. With all that said, please enjoy this episode when I get to sit with our president, Rhonda Ducote, and we unpack who Apriem Advisors is after celebrating its 25-year anniversary.
I mean, if you were to go back to the start, when you came on board, and think through the years, what would be some of those key milestones that you would focus on if you were telling the story?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. Of course, Mark Iwamoto and Harmon Kong founded Apriem back in 1998. I joined in the year 2000. I met Mark and Harmon at Fidelity Investments in my early 20s. And, Harmon's dream was always to, get back to the basics, take the corporate structure and agendas away from what we do here today at Apriem. And so the dream was to sit across the table from our clients and dedicate 100% of our time, helping them and serving them and educating them on financial freedom. And that's really the premise of why I joined them back in the year 2000. As I look backwards, this is our 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that.
It's a long way.
Long way to come, and it doesn't seem like 25 years.
Yeah.
Because it's been fun. We really enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
I think when you work for a large corporation, you get caught up in, just how big and, always, Harmon and I laugh all the time going, less is more. And that's exactly what we did. More isn't more, meaning more clients, more corporate agendas, more corporate events, having a smaller company and really dedicating our entire being around helping our clients and educating them on their financial plan and understanding what they own and why they own it.
Sure.
It has been really important.
So if you don't mind my asking, so I think that, a lot of folks that will watch this, right, they don't necessarily know the industry like us. So I know what you mean when you're saying, it's different, but why couldn't you guys do that where you were? Like, why did you have to start a different company to be able to do that in general?
Yeah, I think, when you work for a big company, which Fidelity was a great training ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a fantastic company. They do a really great job for the masses.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What they don't do is, they have buckets they need to fill to continue to be profitable.
Sure.
So again, more is more.
Yeah.
And so, you were continuously trying, when I left, I probably was working with in excess of 350 people by myself and not having a lot of resources.
Yeah.
I was completely responsible for, contacting them, making sure that they were happy and they were getting what they needed, but we didn't have the autonomy to dig deep.
Right.
We didn't have the capabilities to spend the amount of time that it takes to, do a financial plan, to educate clients on asset allocation, diversification, risk tolerance. It was really just, making sure that they stayed at Fidelity, and we were required to, bring in more clients. That was our goal. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just time.
Right.
And so that was really Mark and Harmon's, vision, was to, as I mentioned, get back to the basics. Bring in clients, sit across the desk with, our desk with them, and spend the time needed to understand and really get to know their family and their family dynamics, and how we can assist them, because everybody's different. Every client's different.
Yeah. And
So
how can you get to know them when you're just constantly
when you're constantly
dialing,
and and making sure that more dollars were coming in, and that's really not what we're about here. I do think that who we serve is people who really want to take charge of their own financial landscape and build upon it. And so we've seen over the last 25 years people who have been in the workplace or just starting in the workplace, business owners, self-employed individuals, and we've seen them, as you talk about these milestones, we've seen them accomplish what we set out to do 25 years ago. So we've seen clients go from working 60 hours a week, contributing to their 401ks or their Roth IRAs or their brokerage investment accounts, and to see them actually retire and fulfill that dream of having financial success. We always talk about our tagline, significance beyond success.
Right.
I think that is different for every single person, because every single person's definition of success is different.
Right.
And what makes that significant, right? Is it philanthropic needs? Is it taking care of their children or grandchildren, leaving a legacy behind?
Right.
And so we really try to dig in when we first meet a prospective client. What is success to you?
Right.
What will make your life significant at the end of your life? And everybody has different goals and dreams. And you're not able to do that in a large company, because it takes too much time to understand each person. And we take pride here, as you're well, and as you know, in really getting to know our clients and their families and their kids and their kids' kids, and their brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. It's funny because as you're saying that, it makes me think of Landon, right? And Harmon as well, right? And I mean, I think most of us here at the firm, when we sit with somebody, we give them the time. If you were at one of these other large firms, and it's not just Fidelity, right? It's the industry as a whole. But I mean, how is a 2 hour or 2.5 hour or 3 hour long meeting perceived across the rest of the industry? Where I feel like here it's about taking care of those individuals and bringing people into the Apriem family.
Right. I think that's key. I mean, I look at where we were 25 years ago, where we had maybe a dozen clients, which to me it's so incredibly rewarding. As not just an employee but part of the management team here, to see what we've been able to do.
Right.
And we have an incredible staff who is like family, and your family is my family. And I think that you'd be one of the first people to say, Joshua, that that's what we say to our clients. We treat you like family. You're part of our Apriem family now, and that's very important to us. And we take pride in making sure that just treat them like you would your own family. And that's really the basics. I mean, that is completely 100% of what we did 25 years ago and what we're still doing today. Yeah.
It makes me think of like company culture. And I feel like that gets thrown around a lot. If you get interviewed or anybody's talking about something, it's always about culture. Right. I think that company culture is really trickled down from the top, from you and Harmon and Mark and Ben and Landon, all the leadership at the top. You guys do an amazing job of leading by example. But in your mind, right? So there's what everyone sees Apriem as. I mean, what do you picture? What do you want Apriem's culture to be? What do you want people to view it as? Because I think it's trickling down and being pushed through the rest of us.
Yeah, I think it's a lot what we were just talking about, you know, and you're right. I think in today's society and with the millennial generation, it's all about corporate culture, right? And again, a lot of different definitions of that.
Sure.
And, we use the word Ohana around here a lot, which means family in Hawaiian. And, as long as we, again, treat people like family, then, the culture creates itself.
Right.
Do unto others, right? As you have them do unto you. And I think that that's really where we've started to make sure that, first and foremost, we have a quality staff who understands what we're trying to achieve. And that is making sure that we're here for our clients. So my 3 priorities when I think about culture is, do we have the right clients? Because we're not for everyone.
Sure.
But we're going to be for many who are looking for that type of relationship.
Yeah.
And I look back to several of my clients who, have been with me since the very beginning, and they are like family. Yeah. And every employee that we hire, we look for that type of quality in them. Are you going to, it's not just about a paycheck or bonuses or, what benefits you're going to get. Are you that type of caring person that has that type of integrity to fulfill our clients' goals?
Right.
And you're going to be there for them. Sometimes it's on the weekends. Sometimes it's at night. Sometimes it's in the middle of the night.
Sometimes it's on vacation.
Sometimes you're on vacation.
Yeah.
I was in Europe this past year, and a client called, and I was happy to talk to him because it was they were going through a difficult time. And I think that's when I look at everyone here from our operations staff with Sean Covarrubias, heading that, to our financial planning team with Chris Whitaker, which you're part of as one of my wealth managers, and then, the trading team, our investment team. Are they looking out for the best interests of our clients? And are we doing the very best job we can do on a day-to-day basis and giving 150%?
Right.
And so I know that I've achieved success when I hear the stories, when we talk about them in our team meetings every week, about the conversations that are being had. You mentioned Landon, and unfortunately we do lose clients every year. They pass, and our biggest compliment is to be included in those services.
Mm-hmm.
We've all at one point in time, I know Harmon has, and I have, Landon has, have spoken at our clients' funerals, and done the eulogy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great privilege and honor when you get asked by a family member, would you please say something about my loved one? Because that's how close you were to them. Or when you get invited to a bat mitzvah, or if you get invited to a wedding.
Right.
It's been, that's when I know we've achieved that culture of becoming family with our clients.
It's funny because a couple things stand out to me, right? So you mentioned being on vacation, getting a call from a client, being happy to take the call, and you're talking about something difficult that's happening in their life. Mm-hmm. And that comes back to that whole concept of Ohana and family, and the fact that our clients are our family, and we want them to be treated and to feel like family. Because when you're on vacation, who do you want to talk to? You want to talk to family, and it becomes okay. So that would be number one. Number two, I think that everything you're talking about, it all comes back to, what is the point of being a registered investment advisor? Right, we're fiduciaries.
Yes.
Right, and our job is to act in the best interest of our clients, which is what you do for your family. Yeah. And so I think it's interesting the way it's all kind of interwoven, and pieced together. So I think that gives us kind of a good kind of update of culture, how we've gotten to where we're at. Any obstacles along the way that stand out to you? Let's say you're a young financial advisor, or you want to start your own RA or something along those lines. I don't know how many listeners are out there that are that, but I think that even our clients would be interested to know, what kind of obstacles did you face along the way?
I think that's a great question, and there's been many. It definitely has been rewarding, but there's been challenges. I think back to I started in the year 2000. That was a challenge. It was Y2K,
right?
If you remember that. But it also was the beginning of the technology crises
Right.
back in 2001 and 2002, not to mention 9/11.
Right.
And you're dealing with, market volatility. We were coming out of the 90s, a great bull market.
Right.
And then we headed right into one of the most devastating, they call it the tech wreck for a reason. And
Right.
when I was working at the large company, I remember clients coming in just wanting the hottest mutual fund because they were making 200% and they were hearing it on the news.
It's crazy.
And all this money was flowing into all of these tech companies. And I couldn't get anyone to really pay attention to me about, hey, how about some bonds, just for some safety, and how about asset allocation,
A little bit
and
of diversification.
little bit of diversification.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted it because they wanted, the quick fix, and
Right.
and that's probably our biggest challenge is getting our clients that we serve to understand what their allocation should be to stocks, to
Yeah.
bonds, to cash, emergency funds, how much they should have in each of those buckets. So I think the early 2000s were a big challenge, when the market was down 60, 70, 80%. Some stocks were down 90%.
And it just trucked on for a number of years, right? That wasn't like a quick turnaround.
2002 was the worst of the lot. And everybody thought it was, again, after 9/11, the
Right.
biggest tragedy in our country.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of emotions. And I do think that that's what we do really well, too, is we have to listen to people and understand what emotions they're feeling at the time, because the markets are very psychological.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think of us as almost like therapists in our own right, because sometimes you do have to walk people off the ledge, and that's what we did back then. Is that everybody in the early 2000s, you wanted the quick fix, but then when you saw it go down so much, everybody wanted out.
Right.
Had they just stuck to their allocation and had a good mix between these assets, it would have recovered a lot faster,
Right.
rather than jumping in and out of the market.
And losses would have happened, but they would have been more limited. It wouldn't have been as severe.
As severe, yeah. Because once you sell at a loss that big, it takes a long time to recover from that, because now you've locked in those losses.
Right.
Rather than, okay, things will get better and get, I think a lot of people worry about, companies going bankrupt, and they did. A lot of companies didn't make it. However, if you're looking at, and I think that's what registered investment advisory firms do, is that they're looking at companies that are super speculative and, super risky. They're looking at the financials and valuations and the fundamentals of these companies. And if we did go into a bad time, are these companies still going to be solvent down the road? And so that's what I think we do really well, is that, each client has an asset allocation that we talk about prior to investing one dime of our clients' assets.
Which is why starting with planning is so important.
Absolutely. So I think the 2000s were an obstacle, and then we had a nice recovery, and then we get into the 2008 financial crises where our central banking system almost failed. That was probably one of the longest recessions in my career over the last 35 years that we had to, hurdle and tackle. And again, it was tough because, again, a lot of emotions are out there. So those were probably two of the biggest ones, with the emotions of the markets. But with that comes a lot of joy too. So I think that there's obstacles, but with obstacles come opportunities.
Sure.
And in those times, you're a big Buffett, guy, right? And buy low, sell high. And that, if you keep it as simple as that, 2002 and 2008 were the biggest opportunities, even though they were the biggest obstacles.
Right.
And if you would have stuck to your plan, you would have been just fine tenfold, so.
I think that Buffett was also the one that said investing is simple but not easy.
That's right.
Right? Because it's very difficult to be buying when you're in an economic environment like that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Even though everyone knows that's what you're supposed to do, everyone wants to buy when it's way up here.
When it's way up there.
Right?
Yeah.
And
if it's up already 200%, you might want to go to a different story.
Right. I can think there's a number of investment ideas that are happening right now that are coming to mind, but I won't say it because
Okay.
Jen would get mad at me.
Yeah.
She's going to say you have to cut that out. So
For sure.
so I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. Okay, well, how about what's going on with Apriem right now this year, 2023?
Well, 2023 has been, again, our 25th anniversary. I reflect back on, some of, things that we've overcome, mistakes that have been made, and we've made plenty, but we've also overcome them. And as I look to the future for the next 25 years, it's really making sure that, again, I'm going to go back to the basics of we have the right employees, we have the right clients that we're serving, and then you have the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that, my wish would be that we continue to grow and serve clients as we have been. But more importantly, I'm responsible for 16 souls here and their families, and making sure that all of you are okay and that you're happy, and that, I'm providing resources that give you the tools to help our clients, whether it's with technology, whether it's with office space. I would like to see Apriem continue in perpetuity long after myself and Harmon are gone, and that would be very rewarding for me. And so the next 25 years, I see us building the foundation to continue on. We have just shy of $1 billion under management right now, and I'm very proud of that. But yeah, to make sure that I get to see your kids, grow up and go to college and become, part of our community.
Yeah,
and
interns.
Absolutely, interns. And
Maybe
we've
give
had
me some
several.
coffee.
Yeah. So, and to continue to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And we're very involved with Apriem Cares, and I'm very proud of that. So to continue to build on that, and to make sure that everyone is getting exactly what we've promised them, and I believe we do that very well. And I think that we can see it with clients coming back to. I get emails every so often from clients just thanking me for their service, and thanking me for the time that the wealth manager spent with them, or that their plan is top notch, and that they understand it.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that because we are fiduciaries and we are a registered investment advisory company, our responsibility is not just to invest our clients' assets.
Right.
And it's not just about obviously making them money. That'd be nice along the way, and it does happen over time.
It's the goal.
It's
right?
the goal.
Yeah.
But it's making sure that they understand what we're doing.
And why.
And why we're doing it.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest challenge. Some people are very interested and some people may not be.
Yeah.
And I think that our role is to make sure that they understand that, and that we keep educating, even if they've been with us a year or if they've been with us for 25 years.
Yeah.
The education never stops. And we're here to serve them and to provide them with advice, and to make sure that they're following the plan and we're executing on that.
Right. Earlier you talked about the 4 kind of different departments, right? Do you want to talk, have we always had 4 departments? Has it always been that structure? Why do we have it that way? Are they siloed, or do they work together? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've morphed quite a bit from the beginning. It used to be 3 of us,
Yeah.
so we were all our own, operations person. So we all opened up our own accounts, and we all invested our own accounts, with the clients that we worked with. And we kind of did a little bit of everything as we've grown. Again, I talk about the resources. As you grow, my, mission was always to, always have about a 50-to-1 ratio.
Right.
50 clients to each employee per se, even though we all work as a team and we don't segregate like that. We don't have 50 clients for Rhonda, 50 clients for Joshua.
Right.
They're all of our clients, and we all work together to provide them the service that we do. And so as we've grown, we've added staff, and then as we've added staff, we have gone to more of a structured where we look at people's strengths, right? And let's put them in that role where they're going to find, happiness and success.
Yeah, joy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, when Ben first started, our CIO, he was a wealth manager,
right.
Like me.
Yeah.
And where his love was investments. And so when Mark decided to just be a wealth manager and kind of take a step back from the company and just work with clients. Ben took the role of CIO because that was his passion, that was his love, and that's where his strengths were.
Right.
And so many of our clients know Ben because he'll come into meetings and talk about what the vision is for the economy or for the markets and for our portfolios. And so the 4 departments, as I mentioned before, it's kind of morphed into that, into where you're mostly, comfortable and where you're going to find success. So we have our investment team, which Ben heads up with Jose and Kenneth and Andrew and Jennifer and Mark as well. But Ben leads the team there. And then we have our financial planning department, which you're part of as well with the wealth managers.
Yeah.
But you're with Christopher, Landon. You also have Megan and Cole, who are the associate financial planners and planners. And so I kind of look at financial planning and wealth management together, even though they're 2 separate departments.
Right.
And then you have our operations team, which is really the nucleus of our team. They make everything happen.
So the heartbeat.
The heartbeat. They make sure that our clients are getting the service that they need, getting their accounts opened, all of the services that come along with that, if they need any type of money movement, check writing, address changes.
Getting logged into my account, right? All those things.
So, we all work together collectively, but I think it's been much more efficient having the departments and everybody knows their role.
Yeah.
And they help out where they can if need be.
So how about the roughly 2 or more advisors or folks, Apriem teammates that join in most client appointments? Where did that all come from? Has that been around since the start?
Well, not in the very beginning because there was only 3 of us. But it was divide and conquer. But as you're going through those growing pains. But yes, I feel really good about that I think 2 is better than 1.
Yeah, sure.
And so back in the day, I really wanted 2 people in each appointment because you can feed off of each other. And again, everyone has different strengths. And so I look at you and Landon as the dynamic duo in meetings
we have fun together
with our industrial services division of the team, and you guys get out on the road or come in here. I know you have a few appointments today. You're going to be going to Whittier later today. That you feed off of one another, so you have that type of chemistry that a client really appreciaes. That where Landon has his specialties, you have yours, and together you're unbeatable in my opinion. So
I agree. I mean, but I do think it's definitely, I've noticed that it really is a benefit to the clients in the long run.
Absolutely.
Especially if one of us is out, right? One of us isn't around, know, and the fact that there's more than one individual that they can go to because. Like you said earlier, where I have folks that maybe I'm responsible to maintain a relationship with, that's not Josh's person or Josh's that. They really are part of the family, right? And we're all here to support them. And so, let's talk about compensation, because I think that the compensation structure here is different than it is, and I love the way that things are set up. But I think it's probably good for people to hear and to know and to know why you guys have structured it the way that you have. Because in my opinion, I think that over time, I think the rest of the industry will follow, because I just think it's the right way to do things.
Yeah, I look a lot at that. Compensation's always important for each person here, because it's your livelihood. It's how you take care of your family. But this industry. Financial services industry has, always been a little, you eat what you kill, basically, kind of structure. And what I mean by that is, especially when I was at the large corporation, if you sell this and you fill all the buckets, you get compensated for filling all the buckets.
Yeah.
But if you only fill 2 of the buckets, you don't get compensated.
Right.
So you had a little bit
more a
conflict to say, I've got to fill up my buckets or I don't get my bonus.
Right.
And I never really liked that structure because, again, it always goes back to what is the most beneficial for the client.
Right.
And so I changed the compensation structure about 8 years ago here, where again, most salespeople would get paid a percentage of revenues of what they sold. I mean, that's just sales 101. And I never liked that. Yeah. I always thought, because I never wanted anyone here at Apriem to feel like they had to sell a product or a service. And by removing that, compensation of a percentage of revenues for what you do, took that conflict away.
Right.
So at Apriem, we went to a salary only type of compensation plan that everybody has a fair salary.
Yeah.
And we're all part of one team.
Yeah.
And we're all here to do the same thing, which is serve the client and to make sure that we're giving the client the best service possible. And so, but then, we are on a bonus structure as well. And the way that works, as you know, is that we all participate if we have a good year in the bonus structure, right?
Right.
So it's not, you get more than
right.
you or so on and so forth. But we all participate in the good years and we all participate in the bad years.
Right. And I can speak for myself as an advisor on the front end. I think removing that reward for selling this or selling that, or hey, we really want to push this. We're really focused on this right now.
Right.
It removes that from the back of the advisor's mind, so that the advisor can literally just go, you know what, nothing changes with the recommendation that I make.
That's right.
And so I can really just focus on doing what's right for the person in front of me. And as you know, I used to work on, as I was a wholesaler.
Correct.
And so my clients were advisors. And I've never met an advisor in my life that didn't say, I do what's in the best interest of my client. Nobody's ever going to say that they don't do what's in the best interest. Everyone says, I do what's in the best interest of my clients.
Right.
But actions speak louder than words.
Right.
And I saw things happen on the other end. And so I think that having this environment where there is no conflict of interest, there's nothing that pushes you to do one thing over another. It is what's in the best interest of clients.
Absolutely.
It does give them better results. So I appreciate it. I think it's something everyone should know about and everyone should hear, because I hope that other leaders that are out there do the same. I think it would do a wonderful thing for the industry.
Yeah, I think the industry as a whole is moving in that direction.
Yeah.
And I think that, you hear it from clients that are coming from another advisor.
Right.
How they were treated or the lack of communication, or I felt like I was being sold something.
Right.
And nobody wants that feeling of,
Yeah.
I'm just in it, to get them a commission or to get, to make them money. I just felt like a number. We hear that a lot, especially with clients coming from other advisors. I do think that the industry is changing.
Yeah.
Obviously, with technology, the internet, how fast money moves now.
Right.
There's more players in the game.
Yeah. All the podcasts that are out there. I mean, people are out there and they're pounding the drum or sounding that horn saying, hey, people, this is what's going on. Pay attention.
Right. Pay attention.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I do think the industry is changing. And I think it will always change. And change is good.
Yeah.
I think that when you are afraid of change and not moving in one direction, there's hurdles. And it's sometimes it's tough.
Yeah.
But I think that you have to move with how things are so quickly changing.
Right. It's happening quite rapidly. Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
You asked me hurdles, a while back, or obstacles, and I think that was probably a big learning curve for myself. Is that you have to keep up with change, and you have to continue to bring in younger advisors who are going to be here for the long haul, and then your role is to bring in other advisors, down the road.
That's good. It keeps it fresh. Keeps new ideas come in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just have to
be open to the ideas and to change.
Right. So before I wrap this section up, I just want to say, I think that this whole concept of the way that the compensation is and doing what's best for people, it makes me think of Landon. Landon is always telling everybody in the office, just remember that we need to serve first and sell second.
That's correct.
And I think it's so poignant.
And it makes such sense, and I think it's really, really good for, again, it's good for the clients.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's pretend,
Okay.
and maybe we'll do this anyway, but 1 year from today, you and I, we're sitting down together,
Mm-hmm.
and we're having this exact same conversation, and we're talking about Apriem, what's happened. What has to have happened over that 1 year of time for you to feel really good about the progress that the firm has made?
Well, in a year from now, again, my first theme is to always make sure that we don't have any client complaints.
That's a good
Right?
one. Yeah, absolutely.
I never want to hear from a client that they didn't get a call back,
Yeah.
that they, an appointment was canceled, or that they felt like we didn't care.
Right.
And so that's my number one. First thing I would say is, like, did we have any client complaints over the last 12 months?
Mm-hmm.
And then second would be, are they happy? Third would be, is all of our staff happy? Did we have any turnover? If we did, why? And learn from that. And to continue to, again, grow the company. Hopefully we have more clients, we have more staff, we have good performance, we have family that that have joined, that and that we it sounds quite simple, and I think it is. I think simple
Doesn't have
is
to be
better.
complicated.
Doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Again, I hope everyone's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a lot of illness in the past, couple of years, obviously with COVID, and that was a big challenge too. As we go back to that,
Yes.
we all learned how to work remotely, and I think we just hit it out of the park, Joshua. Again, a learning curve for Rhonda, learning how to use Zoom, and I learned it with a lot of our clients.
Yeah.
And to
Right.
bring them into the 21st century was kind of fun.
It feels so common now. It just
So
feels
common.
like everyone does it now.
Well, now, I think where I would like to be is, I always want to wrap all of what I just set up into maybe a sentence, is to be that elite premier registered investment advisory firm, not just here in California,
Mm-hmm.
across the United States and globally. We have 2 locations in La Jolla still and Torrance, but because of Zoom and remote working, we've opened the doors to, we have clients in Dayton,
Yeah.
and a few abroad, which has kind of been fun.
Oh yeah.
And technology today, you feel like they're in your living room.
It's amazing how much you can get accomplished even when somebody is outside of the country. Some countries are more difficult than others.
Yes. But that's okay.
But that's okay, right?
Yeah.
It still
It's
gets
change.
done. It's
The
amazing.
hurdles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So, any last words you would want to impart on all of the viewers and Apriem family?
Yeah. I just want to thank our clients for being the very best part of us. And I think that I appreciate all the hard work that the staff has done. I appreciate, every role that's played here at Apriem. And I just am very blessed to be in a position that I am in today. And it doesn't go, and I don't take it for granted any one day.